There has been a lot of development in the recent past regarding Huawei, as well as EMUI and the future of their OS and UI. We got a chance to speak to James Liu, head of EMUI product marketing, on the philosophy of EMUI, as well as the future roadmap, and also shared some feedback from our viewers. This is Sandeep from Revetless. Let's get started. So, hi James, thank you very much for your presentation. I learned quite a lot, from it. But there are a few questions that I still had in my mind, and also some questions and feedback from our viewers as well. So I'll start with my questions. The first thing is that I see that there's two different UIs now. There's EMUI and Magic UI. Magic is coming on Honor devices and EMUI is coming on Huawei devices. But at the moment, there's not really much of a separation or differentiation between these two UIs. So what really was the need for it, and how are you going to differentiate between the two in the future?
Okay, so as you know, for Huawei device and Honor device, Huawei devices more tend to target the more premium market and users, and Honor device target more to the youth market and more energized market who like to try new things. Okay, so for these two separate markets, and we have these two brands, sub brands, and we feel there's a need to also address not only from the hardware perspective, but also from the user experience from the software perspective. Okay, so this is how the Magic UI was born, to address this difference in market. And but we're not deciding today that decisively that what should be the same, what should be the different between these two. It's a dynamically evolving practice, and we're very careful about it, and we're monitoring the market and to see the user's reaction towards this, and then what user feel comfortable with what, and then based on that, in the future versions, we might make some adjustments in these two different UI.
The next question I had was regarding the overall RAM management in terms of stability and the performance, and I got some clarification through what you mentioned today. But basically, EMUI is really good when it comes to RAM management, stability, and other stuff. And if you compare devices, say with 6 GB of RAM, with devices that have 4 GB of RAM on EMUI, EMUI still performs as good, if not better, compared to those. So you mentioned stuff like EROFS today, which could possibly be one of the reasons why EMUI does better. So how did you guys achieve that, and what's the process behind getting such a system, and the continuous development behind it? How do you guys achieve that?
Yeah. So RAM management is a technical term. What the user feels is the overall performance, whether it's a fast or slow, or has latencies. Most time this performance is not just impacted by one aspect, like a RAM or itself. It's a end-to-end system where anything could impact your performance, right? So what EMUI does is that we look at every layer of the Android architecture and try to identify what could be optimized to improve have a better performance delivered. Okay, and for example, we know that the I/O performance is a critical part, and so we address that with the EROFS and the F2FS in 2016, and which has a very positive customer feedback. It really works. Okay, and also we're using other technologies like machine learning to really understand users' behavior, and try to make predictions that which apps you might be using or which might not be using, and that is also a critical input of the RAM management itself. And also the graphics with GPU Turbo. So performance is a most important aspect of the character of EMUI, and we have a big team working on it, and looking at every aspect of Android architecture and modules to make the best optimization for the performance.
The next question is related to updates, software updates basically. So there are two different opinions in the tech world. Some people prefer, updates once in a while with, a lot of new features added or some benefits to the user. The other people, they belong to the opinion that,
it's better to have updates as often as possible.
Mhm.
Maybe just by updating the security patch,
Mhm.
it kind of gives them the you know feeling that they're getting the latest updates more often and their phone is secure as well. Which do you think is the right approach and why, and which is the route that EMUI or Huawei as a whole is adopting?
Yeah, I think it's not the black and white question, so it depends on situation. And as of Huawei, our practice is that our software release is in sync with our flagship phone release. So our flagship phone is Mate every year. So every year when we release a new Mate version, we release an EMUI version, which has works both in strategically speaking. Okay, and so with this new release, we're packing a lot of new features for it. Okay, and also with the launch of P series, there's also a smaller upgrade. Okay, so it's a big upgrade and small upgrade for the EMUI version, and which works very fine so far. But also for the security patches, that's a different story. Okay, because for security vulnerability, we need to address that as soon as possible. So there's always a security patches come on the way, and also in some occasions there might be a specific feature that has a lot of market requirements and people will have benefit a lot more if we can deliver very soon. So we could maybe in these occasions we could deliver these features faster rather than wait for a whole package.
Lastly, it's about the overall visual appeal of EMUI. I saw that you mentioned some new icons, overall adopting a flatter look for 9.1 EMUI. But even then, when you look at EMUI compared to some of the other UI layers on the market, not taking names, but some of them feel more new, more contemporary compared to what EMUI does. EMUI is great in terms of the overall performance as we discussed, but it seems like it needs a visual overhaul perhaps. So is such a change coming sometime soon, maybe with EMUI 10, like you mentioned, or what's the timeline like, and can we expect it, and when can we expect it?
Okay, so after we released EMUI 9.1, we already got a lot of positive feedback from the end users on different aspects. Okay, performance as well, wise, and also on the new icon design, spacing changing, etc. But we are continuing to make improvements on that aspects. And so in the EMUI 10, which we will launch later this year, we're expecting to see bigger changes in the UX design as well, and of course also on performance as well. Okay, yeah.
The last three are basically feedback from some of our viewers. The first one being, they're asking for the ability to unlock the bootloader without having to go to the service center. So is this something that you guys would be thinking of in the future? Can you provide it, or is it off the books?
Because we care a lot about security, and our main focus is mass market consumers. Okay, so we think it's a little bit risky to open that for now, and so currently we don't have a plan, and we are focusing on deliver the best experience through EMUI software.
The second thing is related to the app drawer, because people like the fact that you guys provide the option to choose between apps in the app drawer or on the home screen itself. But some of them don't like the way that you bring up the app drawer.
Yeah.
They would prefer a gesture-based system rather than a toggle-based system. So
Okay.
what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I think it's a balance of different approaches. First of all, for what we do in EMUI is that when you are in the drawer mode, so you just need to click one button on the bottom of the screen and the drawer will pop up. Okay, and which is already very fast and convenient. And also we see that people have needs when they're in the home screen. They might want to go to the previous apps they're using. So they might want to activate the multitasking window, which is also swapping upwards, and that might have maybe a conflict with that function. And so we are thinking that giving priority to multitasking rather than the drawer at this moment. Okay.
The last feedback is regarding the animation speed. So a lot of other UIs, they're doing that in order to give
Okay.
the perception that the phone is faster than it actually is.
Yeah.
So by reducing the animation speed, the phone seems to be performing exceedingly well. So while EMUI is great in terms of performance, some people are saying that by reducing the animation speed by default, it could also give the perception that it's even faster than it already is. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So yeah, first of all, I agree there's a need on that. And second of all, the feature is available, but it's available in the developer mode. Okay. So because there's always a complaint about you have to make the balance between simplicity in the setting and the diversity in the function. Okay. And so we think for majority people, they don't have a need of doing that. For some tech-savvy people, you could always open up developer mode because it's not only limited to developers. Anybody can activate that. Yeah.
Okay, that's about it. Anything else that you'd like to mention about the future of EMUI or how the Indian market has helped shape EMUI to what it is today, and how important a market it is for you guys?
And yes, sure. For the Indian market is a very important market for us. Okay, as I said in the presentation, almost 1/3 of we are supporting 77 languages globally, and almost 1/3 of which is local Indian language, and because we have biggest R&D center overseas here in Bangalore, so we're able to understand better the local customer needs. We have a voice of customers where we have the channels to collect customer feedback through different channels, as well as the feedback from the media, and we could address these local market needs with the local R&D team here. One of the example is, for example, we're apart from the language, we're also supporting the local Indian calendars and all the holidays from different regions in the calendars. We're integrating with local Paytm systems so that people can pay easily on the phone and securely. And also, Indian market help us to improve the AI capabilities. For example, that right now the cameras can identify almost 170 Indian monuments, landmarks, and many local Indian food cuisines, like the sweets, like Indian sweets like laddu and butter chicken, this kind of things. They can identify the food, and they can know the calorie of food. And also, we are delivering the best shopping experience on the smartphone. So we are connecting with all the major Indian e-commerce websites. So, and you can buy things from these websites without installing a lot of apps on the phone.
Okay, James, that's about it. Thank you so much.
Okay,
I learned a lot. Yeah, hopefully the viewers also will gain much from your interaction.
I'm very glad to hear the feedback from the users.
EMUI is still receiving updates both in terms of security patches as well as in terms of features and functionality, and most notably the P30 Pro got an update with dual view feature that allows you to shoot footage from the primary as well as the telephoto camera in one frame. Huawei states that they remain committed to providing software updates and patches for all their phones, and Google services will continue to function as well. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you liked it. See you again in the next one.